Hey everybody, welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole, where I'm digging into the songs from my new album, Meant for the Sun. Today we're going to go deep on the first single from the album, Tell Me That Don't Sound Better.
Tell me that don't sound better. Tell me that don't sound better. Tell me that don't sound better than the world we live in now.
Tell Me That Don't Sound Better is a song that actually came to me pretty fast. My wife Carol and I were on a road trip with our 12-year-old daughter Hope, and we were listening to the news, and we were hearing all these stories about social unrest and political conflict and health crises and all the things affecting our country. And then there was a story about social media and kids and about how they're being fed all this stuff 24 hours a day, and it's making them sick and totally antisocial. Carol and I started talking about how different it was when we were growing up. You know, walking to and from school safely every day, playing outside after dark, doing stuff at home with the family. And I don't know, I looked over at her and I just blurted out, yeah, tell me that don't sound better. And there it was, an idea for a song and a pretty cool first line for the chorus. As any songwriter will tell you, if you got those two things, you're kind of on your way. As soon as we got off the road and I found a guitar, I picked it up and the melody kind of came pretty quick. Tell me that don't sound better. Tell me that don't sound better. Tell me that don't sound better than the world we live in now. That was it. I guess the challenge with Tell Me That Don't Sound Better was how to arrange it. The slangy grammar of Tell Me That Don't Sound Better kind of suggested a country song. But even though I live in South Carolina, I'm not really a country guy. And there's a fair bit of anger in the lyrics that kind of requires some rock and roll muscle. So ultimately, arranging and recording this song became all about balance, balancing the folky country kind of aspects with the rock and roll elements. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First of all, the start of the song. It opens with acoustic guitar, just exactly the way I wrote it. Then my cousin, Buddy Griffin, comes in with this beautiful, mournful pedal steel line. And then right on top, I had kind of a twangy Telecaster line on the guitar. Now, all together. Now, once we get into the song, we start turning on the rock and roll engines. Here's El Ron de Trois, Easy D is his nickname, bringing the drums. Here's Ronnie Newmyer on the bass. Listen to that bouncy, rubbery bass line he's got. Listen closely. There's this really subtle keyboard part played by Ed O'Connell that really glues the whole thing right together. And then in come the big crunchy guitars, including a cameo by my friend Mark Williams, who adds some extra guitar licks. Never too many guitars. And finally, add the lead and harmony vocals. Boom.
Tell me that don't sound better. Tell me that don't sound better. Tell me that don't sound better than the world we live in now.
Now, when a song has so many very light and heavy sounds going on, the mix becomes super critical. Tell Me That Don't Sound Better was the first tune I worked on with Eli Smith, the producer-engineer who ended up mixing the whole Meant for the Sun album. Eli did an incredible job mixing this song and really balancing the power and the thrust of the guitars and the nuance and little details that were happening. All right, it's time to enter the isolation chamber. I don't know if rabbit holes have isolation chambers, but there's probably naughty rabbits who need some solitary confinement from time to time, right? Anyway, one of my favorite things about Tell Me That Don't Sound Better is the guitar solo. As this song was coming together in the studio, I knew it needed a killer guitar solo. And so I called up my old friend and longtime bandmate, Joe Adams. He would know exactly what to do. Here's Joe and me back in the 1980s when we were in a band called JoJo X Mariner down in Atlanta. we had excellent hair. Joe's an extraordinarily talented guitar player, a great musician all around, and a really good songwriter himself. When I first talked to Joe about doing this solo, I suggested he kind of lean a little bit towards country, a little bit like maybe what Keith Urban would do. But Joe came back with something that was much, much better. Let's isolate Joe Adams' guitar solo track on Tell Me That Don't Sound Better. Dude, that solo was insane. With a wink to Rick Beato, I'll say this. I think that solo is one of the things that makes this song great. And here's another. If you listen closely at the end of Tell Me That Don't Sound Better, you'll hear the recording debut of my 12-year-old daughter, Hope, who I was thinking about a whole lot while I was writing this song. At the end of the song, I was really trying to take it up to a different level. And so it only seemed fitting to get Hope to do those playground na-na-na vocals. She nailed it.
Na 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 na. Tell me that don't sound better than the world we live in now.
Hey, so if you're interested, there's a pretty cool music video of Tell Me That Don't Sound Better right here on my YouTube channel. I think it gets across the meaning of the song pretty well. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. And if you did, press the button below and subscribe. I'll be back soon with another video where we'll dig into another song from my new album, Meant for the Sun. Thanks for watching.
Pale as a ghost, glued to a touch screen. Lost down a rabbit hole in search of a sweet dream.